Have you ever wondered how many continents are there on Earth? Most people say 7. Right? But what if I told you there's another one? A continent that almost no one sees? A hidden landmass. Most of it underwater. Globe showing Europe, Africa. Welcome to Zealandia. The lost continent. But wait. Hold on a sec. What actually makes something a continent? And more importantly, what would Zealandia look like if it weren't underwater? To uncover this mystery, we need to start with a fundamental question. Lightbulb, what is a continent, really? Ask different people how many continents there are, and you'll get different answers. Some say 7. Some say 5. Why so much disagreement? Because defining a continent isn't just science. It's also about culture, history, and perspective. Microscope, let's see how geologists define it. There are a few key traits. 8-spoked asterisk. First, size. A continent has to be much bigger than an island. Big enough to cover a large portion of Earth's surface. 8-spoked asterisk. Second, geological structure. It should have an ancient rocky core, diverse rock types, and a complex history of mountain building and erosion. 8-spoked asterisk. Third, the difference between continental crust and oceanic crust. Continental crust is thicker, less dense, and floats higher on the mantle. That's how continental shelves form. 8-spoked asterisk. Fourth, elevation. Some parts can be underwater, but most of it should be above sea level. 8-spoked asterisk. And finally, boundaries. Continents are usually separated by oceans or distinct land features. But of course, there's always debate. Compass, so why do some say 7 continents? And others say 5? Scroll in English-speaking countries. The common model is Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Europe, Australia, and Antarctica. But in other places, people combine some of them. Like Eurasia, because Asia and Europe are actually one connected landmass, only separated by the Ural Mountains. Or the Americas. North and South America are joined by the narrow Isthmus of Panama. Geologically, they're connected. So, why count them as 2? Pick and now. In the middle of all this debate, a strange new discovery has surfaced. A massive landmass, long lost beneath the waves. Water wave, a whole continent, hiding in plain sight. Its name? Zealandia. World map, are you ready to dive into the hidden world? Because what comes next is going to blow your mind. It really depends on who you ask. Some say there are 5 continents. Others say 6. And many say 7. Yep, even the number of continents is up for debate. That's because defining a continent isn't just about science. History, culture, and human decisions play a huge role too. Take Europe and Asia, for example. Why are they separate? Just because of a little mountain range called the Urals? Or is it cultural differences that drove the split? Let's be honest, most of it comes down to what's convenient for us, not what's natural. And get this, what separates Africa from Asia? A giant valley? A massive river? No. Just the Suez Canal, a man-made waterway. Grinning face with sweat. Some of these continental borders are so artificial, it's like we're playing Lego with the planet. And this is where things get really exciting. Because if our idea of continents is that flexible, maybe it's time we add a new one to the list. Trumpet introducing Zealandia, the lost 8th continent. For centuries, our maps have told us one thing: 7 continents, end of story. But what if there's one more hiding in plain sight? A real continent. Not a myth. Right beneath Australia, deep in the Pacific Ocean. Yep, we're talking about Zealandia. A landmass larger than India, with over 94% of it submerged underwater. Only a few bits, like New Zealand, stick out above the surface. Just imagine a whole continent has been hiding from us simply because it sank. From New Caledonia in the north to New Zealand in the south, it stretches thousands of kilometers. And now, scientists are saying, hey, this isn't just ocean floor, this is a continent. And we're about to find out why. So, along with New Zealand's North Island, these are the most important and visible parts of the hidden continent Zealandia. But where did the story begin? For decades, scientists guessed that something huge and mysterious was sleeping beneath the Southwest Pacific Ocean. Seafloor mapping data, strange rock samples, and seismic surveys slowly turned that suspicion into certainty. Then, in 2017, a team of geologists officially announced, guys, this is a continent. And they named it Zealandia. But why? Why do they say it's a continent, not just a bunch of scattered islands or a regular underwater plateau? Well, the answer is simple. Zealandia has all the characteristics of a real continent. First, the seafloor here is much shallower than the surrounding areas, and it's way higher than the oceanic crust around it. Then, when they sampled the crust, they found diverse rocks like granite, schist, and limestone rocks you only find on continents, not on the ocean floor. Also, topographic maps clearly show this is a complete and uniform geological unit with defined borders, because it's surrounded by thinner, denser oceanic crust. And most importantly, its crust thickness ranges from 10 to 30 kilometers, while oceanic crust is usually only about 7 kilometers thick. That means this is truly a continent. But here's the weird part, most of it is underwater. Of course, it wasn't always like this. About 85 million years ago, Zealandia broke away from the supercontinent Gondwana and was easily above sea level. So what happened next? Tectonic plate movements stretched and thinned Zealandia's crust like a piece of dough, slowly sinking this landmass beneath the ocean. Now do you see why Zealandia is something extraordinary? It's a real continent that's often hidden from our eyes. And when you look at New Zealand, you're looking at the tallest exposed parts of this hidden continent. Those strange mountains and breathtaking coasts of New Zealand are the compressed backbone of Zealandia, the result of intense collisions between the Australian and Pacific tectonic plates. So next time you think of New Zealand, remember you're looking at a piece of the eighth continent, a secret continent that sank beneath the waves but is still very much alive. Now imagine this. Most of Zealandia is submerged underwater, but beneath those waves lies a vast expanse of land and coastline, all part of this hidden continent. This explains a lot about New Zealand's weird geology, its powerful earthquakes, and its fascinating tectonic landscapes. Here's another cool fact. Why is New Zealand's geology so different from Australia's? Australia is pretty calm, few mountains and hardly any tectonic activity. But New Zealand? It's like a constant earthquake zone. Let's play a little game. Imagine we turn back the geological clock, or one day the Earth's crust decides to lift Zealandia again, meaning most of it rises above the water. What would it look like then? You might think it would look like Australia, but nope. Zealandia is about 2/3 the size of Australia and, area-wise, it's closer to the Indian subcontinent. A long, vast land stretching over 4,000 kilometers from north to south, a real continent, the king of the Southwest Pacific Ocean. Today, New Zealand is just a few main islands plus lots of smaller ones. But if Zealandia had fully risen back then, New Zealand would have been just a tiny corner of a much bigger landmass. Shallow rises like the Chatham Rise, Lord Howe Rise, and Norfolk Ridge would have turned into plains or even low rolling hills. Those underwater ridges that now form Zealandia's backbone would have become huge, elongated mountain ranges, standing alongside the current New Zealand mountains. And on top of that, tons of new coastline would have appeared, with bays and wide beaches. With all that land and size, Zealandia back then would have had a huge impact on the southern hemisphere's climate. It would have had its own distinct climates, way beyond the marine, rainy climate New Zealand has today. That means in its interior, it would have been drier with bigger temperature swings, large rivers flowing, and vast plains spreading out. Of course, there were still mountains, so it wouldn't have looked like Australia's desert, but more like Patagonia's steppe plains in Argentina. And now for the best part. Because Zealandia was so isolated from other lands, it would have developed a completely unique ecosystem. Flightless birds like the kiwi and strange ancient reptiles like the tuatara were just the beginning. A lost world full of species you won't find anywhere else. But here's a twist. If Zealandia hadn't sunk, humans might have discovered and settled it much earlier. The Maori arrived in New Zealand around 1200 AD, way later than Australia's indigenous peoples. So when Maori and later Europeans got here, it was completely pristine and untouched. But Zealandia was huge. It seems unlikely Polynesian explorers missed it. For example, New Caledonia, at the northern edge of Zealandia, was already populated around 1100 BC. And now, the big question remains. If one day Zealandia rises again from its underwater slumber, what hidden secrets will emerge from beneath the waves? What stories from Earth's history will it tell us? And most importantly, are we ready to rediscover this lost continent? Zealandia isn't just a forgotten continent. It's an invitation for us to rethink the story of our world and our place in it. So let's keep our eyes wide open, because the greatest geological discovery of the century might be right here, sleeping beneath our feet. So friends, if you enjoyed this strange and exciting tale of Zealandia, make sure to subscribe to the channel so I can bring you even cooler stories from the heart of our planet. Just hit that red subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Let's go together in search of lost continents and the hidden mysteries of the Earth. I'm waiting to see your thoughts and questions down in the comments.